Finding Hope, the Road to Recovery.
Welcome to Ayeneh, the show where stories of resilience, recovery, and transformation take place. In today's show, we're going to delve into the stories of two individuals who went from challenges to triumphs. Both of these individuals came through and now are alumni of Tarzana Treatment Centers, and we're going to get to just peek into their stories and see how their journeys unfolded. We have three parts to this today. The first part, we're going to look at what brought them to substance use. The next part, we're going to talk about the decision that was made to seek treatment. And the third part, we're going to talk about the joy after treatment. Our first guest is Kimberly, again, who is an alumni of Tarzana Treatment Center. And so we would like to welcome Kimberly to the show.
Hi, I'm Kimberly Romero.
Kimberly.
I'm 17.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, I think I'm 4 months graduated. I graduated in December of 2023.
4 months?
Sorry. I can't do math. Sorry, two months.
That still deserves a clap.
Look, my original graduation date was November, so got pushed back. So my fault though. 2 months.
That's amazing.
I'm thinking of my sobriety date. Sorry.
That's okay. We will gladly receive all that information.
Thanks.
So, what grade are you in, Kimberly?
I am a junior.
You're a junior.
Yes.
Okay. What's your favorite subject in school?
English.
English. Why English?
I love writing.
Okay.
Writing is my outlet. I love journaling, and really pulled me out of the depths of where I was at. So I love English.
Pulled you out of the depths. Let's talk about that for a second, Kimberly. Because I think a lot of people, are going to be interested in knowing, right, what pathways individuals get on to get into substance use. So let's talk about yours for a second. Just share a little bit about what brought you to the decision to start using substances.
I had just turned 15 years old, and my mother was diagnosed with cancer, stage 3. And my sister had just moved back from San Francisco, but my older sister had actually moved to Chico. So as my older sister was leaving, my oldest sister was coming back. And it was a very confusing time for me. I have a single mother, and she raised all of us, 3 women, and I come from a family of very strong women, and I didn't know how to deal with her illness. I didn't know what it was. I was in denial. I wouldn't process, and smoking helped me forget everything. Wouldn't remember what I did the day before. I wouldn't care. It would help me not care. I'm a very caring person, and I think I didn't want to think about what was happening to her. I couldn't do it because if my only parent had left, I don't know what I would do. And that's why I chose to smoke. I'm not a drinker. I don't do opioids, nothing like that. So I felt like I was taking someone's place at Tarzana because I had only been abusing just weed. But to me, that was very serious because I would wake up and smoke all day. And that was my life for good 7-8 months.
So it sounded as if there was this breaking point for you, because I could tell that you seemed very close to your mother.
Yes.
And so what was it like before? Just to go back a little bit before the diagnosis and, talk a little bit about your mother and your relationship.
My dad left a picture when I was 3 or 4, and my mom works day and night. She is a workaholic. She loves to work because she loves to make money. She loves to provide us the things that she didn't have, and I've always known that about her. I never resented her for that. I know that she was at work because she was putting a roof over my head and, putting the clothes on my body, and she's very loving. She's the most caring woman, and we're super similar. She's very sensitive, but on the outside, she's very tough. She is so strong, and she's very open with me. She talks to me about everything. She's intelligent. She's amazing, but we didn't spend a lot of time together at all. When she would come home, she was tired and had to do what she had to do around the house and then went to sleep. And so, I would tell her about my day, I would meet her halfway. As long as I was being a good kid, that made her happy. And that was what I was supposed to do. And so I did.
So you were 15 around the time you said that the
I was 13.
You were 13.
I was 13 when she was diagnosed, but I was starting to use when I was around 15.
15.
Yeah.
So you were not too long into your teens.
Yeah.
I have 3 daughters, right? So one is still a teenager. So I know I don't know, but I've witnessed to, it's a lot that happens just being a teenager, right? But then you had the experience of starting to explore substance use and be a teenager. How did you manage everything that was going on between the two?
It was very hard because it was quarantine as well. I was in 7th grade, 2nd semester when quarantine happened. And I didn't go back to school until my freshman year. So my whole 8th grade experience I didn't have. As a younger teen, like when I was 13, 14, I didn't go out. I wouldn't go to parties. I had my friends at school. I was in the STEAM program at my middle school. So I was really involved in my work and with my family. And I think over quarantine, I was very upset because I was missing out on all the experiences. I had to be locked in the house, not only to keep my mother safe if she got sick along with her illness. She was super weak. She could have really died, and I couldn't handle the thought of like me being the reason why I brought something to the house, and she couldn't recover from that. And my sister, she would take me out, but my sister is 12 years older than me, my oldest sister. So a very huge age gap it affected me a lot. And I think that's why I really wanted to smoke, because it showed that I wanted to rebel. Like I wanted some different experience, and I didn't know how else to go about it. Social media really ruined that for me, thinking that substances were the normal, substances would help, and they covered it. They did what they do, and for that, I think I was living a teenage experience. I had my friends, even if they were online, I would still have my friends. We would text, talk.
COVID was a very difficult time. I remember because it really caused a disconnection.
Yes.
Right. So here you were, right, in this moment with your mother sick and with a disconnection from friends on a physical level. And you were still trying to be a teenager, right? And then this experience came in. So was there a moment before the actual treatment experience that you were trying to pull away? And if so, what did you do? What sort of things did you do to try and distance yourself from the substance usage? Or did that happen for you?
Yes, I had tried to get sober one time when I didn't even know what, I guess, being sober was. I had torn my ACL in summer of 2022. And so I was smoking very heavily before I tore my ACL. And when I did, I had to stay home. I stayed home for weeks. And that was when I was like, I need to stop. Like my school is really ruined. My whole life is just, I would wake up and just think, why is this my life? And that's when I thought, okay, maybe it's the weed. So when I tried to cut it out, I couldn't. There was still substances in the house. I had nothing to do all day. I didn't even know where to start with work. I was alone. I felt so alone because I had already let my mom down. My sister moved out of the house. I was alone physically, mentally, emotionally, and I thought, why move away from the thing that's making me feel better, or at least hide it at the moment? So it only lasted about a couple weeks.
Yeah. Well, the Surgeon General said that COVID caused an epidemic of loneliness, right, because of the disconnection. And usually our parents or the adults in our life help us through these moments, but they were going through it as well,
Yes.
right? So, and then you didn't really have friends to lean on in a physical way, right? Because there's a difference between, as you know, having connection through a small screen and then actually being there in the moment.
Yes.
So you tried for 2 weeks. So what was that moment, Kimberly, that you said, I need to get some professional help with this?
I had been caught around 5 times before I said, okay, maybe I should go see someone.
Mm-hmm.
My oldest sister that moved back from San Francisco worked at Tarzana Treatment. She would go to schools and talk about what these substances do.
Mm-hmm.
So I had knew about in a way, of what these substances do. I kind of tuned out because I really thought my younger self, I would never do that. You know, knowing what my dad is, I wouldn't fall into what he was. And my sister told my mom, there are resources available. Put her in this treatment. And so she did. And I went into the office one day and I was like, what is this? Like, this is where my sister used to work. And I'm like, I know what this is.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know what an outpatient was. I didn't know what groups were. I had known about AA from shows, movies, but this was a new experience for me, and I was very overwhelmed because I knew I needed help, but I didn't want the help until I realized there's a community here for me, and there's a support system here for me. Why am I letting my support system down at home as well? And that's when I decided, okay, let me meet her halfway again, like I used to, you know?
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about the experience at Tarzana. Right? Did it catch on right away, or did it take a moment, and then, you know, maybe talk about at what the point that you felt like you were starting to excel?
The third day, I was going to groups 3 days out of the week, 3 days out of the 5 days. So it was a lot. I walked in the first day. My mental health therapist did my intake, and I was already really touched by her because she was gentle with me. She had no tone, nothing to make me feel as, why am I here? You're not taking anybody's place. She made me feel like I was supported and needed there. So my first day, my substance abuse counselor walked me into the milieu, and there I see a bunch of boys, a bunch of girls, and I'm like, yeah, what's going on? I was overwhelmed, but I'm like, what do I have to be scared about? We're all here for the same things. Maybe I'm not doing as much as everybody else, but I'm here because of me, and I'm here because I want to make my mom proud again. And Andre was there. McKenna, my mental therapist, was there. Antoinette was my substance abuse counselor. Those women and the whole community there, I knew it was for me. I felt so supported. I was, to be honest, I was not like the other kids because I would participate in groups. During AA panels, I would really sit and look at them and stare at them to know that I was engaged, to know that I was listening. I would take their pamphlets home. I would take the big book, the whatever books they had. I would talk to them for just a couple minutes after to let them know, you know, one person appreciates them being here. And
so it seems as if the support that you got from your mental health therapist, your SUD, was that Andre, the SUD counselor?
Antoinette was, but Andre, oh, he was so cool. He would sit in the AA panels, and he was the one that was like, Kim, like, I see you paying attention. And
yeah,
I really have a hard time getting along with men, but but men that really stick with me, I will never forget them because he was really somebody special. And I attended his healthy relationships, and just those groups in general, I would feel just weight lifted off of me. I wouldn't want to go to school, and the only reason why I went to school is because I would know after school I would come to treatment, and I would see them, would see my counselors and my support system that believed in me.
So it
And
seems as if there was that connection of community that was outside of your family, but I'm also hearing that there was still a tremendous amount of support from your family
oh
that was
yes,
going on.
yes, and I love that Tarzana. I still go to Tarzana for mental health.
Hmm.
I have 2 sessions a week, one for me and my mom, and one just for me. And I love that I'm able to do that. That I'm able to use my resources, and I am building that trust with my mom, and that love will never go away. But that trust needs to be rebuilt, and that's what we work towards every day. That's what I work towards with her, and Tarzana offered and offers a lot.
So it seems as if Tarzana is offering a pathway of reconciliation with your mother. Could you share maybe just a couple of other ways that Tarzana has supported you in your journey of being sober?
So I had started Tarzana in April. My sobriety date was April 15th. I was sober for 6 months before I relapsed, and they pushed back my graduation date. And I was sober for that long because, especially over summer, the summer program, I would be so happy to be going out and to be doing new things. I learned how to meditate. I went to Balboa Park, we rode bikes, and those little things made me so happy and made me realize that I still am a kid. I still have a childhood, and yes, I'm a teenager, but not all teenagers need to have the same teenage experience, partying, drinking. Like, that has never been me. I loved going to the beach, like little things like that. And I prided myself because I knew that I would remember that forever. I wouldn't wake up and be hazy and be confused of what I did. I knew exactly what I was doing, where I was at, who I was with, my thoughts, my feelings, and there was nothing like that.
So it seems as if Tarzana helped you to get a connection to to that inner child again.
Yes.
I love when you said that, Kimberly, because a lot of people, right, when they get a certain age, hit a certain point in their teenage life, they feel like they have to make a complete transformation to adulthood thinking, right?
Exactly.
And I still haven't done that yet. Because I still like the joy of experiencing the things, in different ways, but I still like the ideal of being curious and exploring.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about, life after treatment and Tarzana, and two things. One, how does that help you with your sobriety, and then the challenges that you face outside of that treatment experience, with the SUD treatment experience?
SUD is super supportive about relapse. They know that is normal. It is normal in a journey. And I'm happy that I relapsed while still in treatment because I was able to get my support, and I was able to really, truly find my community and help me. And I knew that it was coming because I would stop coming to groups. I stopped using my coping skills, and those are all things I learned within that treatment, And so after graduating, I had lapsed, not relapsed, but lapsed. I was drinking, and it wasn't my drug of choice, but I know I didn't want to go back to smoking, and still I didn't feel right with myself. I live in integrity, and if I'm not living in truth, I feel like I'm against myself. And so being in mental health, it helps me every single day, because if I wasn't doing any of that, still wasn't trying to work on myself every week, every other day, I would fall back into the same patterns. I would not be changing my behaviors. My therapist tells me, you're not a failure for having drank, you're not a failure for having smoked, you're not a failure for having done what you did, because what's done is done. And as long as somebody is moving on and you are trying every day, there is nothing more anyone could ever ask. You're proving to yourself you are different.
Yeah. And that's beautiful, right? Because we get these moments where we get so hard on ourselves, Kimberly, because we're judging ourselves based upon perspectives outside of ourselves. And the problem with that is that the people who are judging us, they have problems too that they're oftentimes not working on, right? So just in sort of closing out, right? I want you to talk a little bit about things that you're doing that brings joy to your life. And then in closing, I want you to speak to the audience with a teen who may be struggling and maybe say some words to help them to realize that getting help is not a problem. So first, things that bring you joy, real quick, and then a quick message to the teen audience out there.
My treatment brings me joy. My family brings me joy, and most especially my school. That was the very hardest part for me, but I'm priding myself. My grades are amazing. My counselors are there for me, my teachers, and I'm president of a club who deals with parents who are incarceration
I
and
love that.
deportation, and we write, we journal, we take pictures, we express ourselves in whatever ways. And that there has been my outlet and made me reflect and see how truly a great person I am and just how much greater I can be and will be. For anybody who is
Now,
dealing...
this is your Madam President saying this for you.
as student of the week, whatever. Whoever is dealing with whatever is going on, mental, substance abuse, just feeling alone, you need to know that you are not alone and that you have people here who care about you. And it's a journey every single day, and it's not easy. It never will be. But you need to try every single day, because if you don't, then you're not living. The journey is about the hard parts. It's about the struggles. It's about the sadness. Because if you don't have that when you're happy, then you'll know you're really happy and you know you're doing something right. And so go out there and whoop some ass. Yeah.
Thank you, Kimberly. It was such a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you,
I
Mark.
appreciate your openness, and I know your words are going to help someone out there. So it may be more than a few. So thank you so much. I applaud you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mark.
You're welcome. Okay, so we're going to bring on our next guest in a moment. But once again, we would like to thank Kimberly and just to send her 1 million pounds of encouragement to continue on her journey. Welcome back. We are excited to introduce our next guest, Alicia. Alicia, just want you to introduce yourself and tell the audience a little bit about yourself, maybe what grade you're in, what your favorite subject is, and we'll take it from there.
So my name is Alicia. I'm 17. My favorite subject would probably be English. I really love to listen to music, and I'm trying to get back into drawing.
Those are exciting things, Alicia.
Yeah.
So tell me, why do you like English? And what type of writing do you do, you said?
Yeah.
And then you said art.
Yeah.
So I want to know about all three. So tell me, why do you like English first?
I feel like English has just always been like an easy subject for me, especially when it comes to writing. I love to write stories, sometimes even like poems. And I've always been told by teachers that I'm a really good storyteller. Yeah.
What inspires you with your stories, or any type of particular subject matter you like to write about, or it's just in the moment you get inspired?
Yeah, in the moment I just get inspired, especially when it comes to mental health, or like, for instance, in class, my teachers would give like, they would ask to just write a random story, and I'd, just write a story from the top of my head. Yeah.
And tell me about this art.
This art. So I struggled with mental health, and I've learned that drawing is a coping mechanism. So when I feel these certain type of ways, I just love to express myself through art.
So are you a private artist? Or
Yeah.
do you share your art with the greater masses?
No, I'm private.
You're
for
private.
Sure.
Okay. You spoke a little bit about mental health.
Yeah.
I just want to talk a little bit about your decision, to introduce substances in your life to help you with your mental health. Tell me how that happened for you.
So I feel like, so my biological dad, he wasn't really around, and that really affected me a lot, especially when I was younger. So I always just felt like I wasn't worthy of his love or anybody's love. Like, how could a father not care for his child? So when it came to taking substances, it just took away like that pain,
How old were you, Alicia, when that was introduced into your life?
Pills?
Yeah, when you started using, how old were you?
I was 13.
You were 13. Okay, so you were just going into your teenage years.
Yeah.
And there's a lot that's happening in teenage life, right?
Yeah.
Aside from that, right? And so tell me a little bit about how you managed those two experiences, right? How did you try to find balance in your life in terms of like what was going on as a teenager and the substance use? How did that affect you as a teenager, just doing normal teenager stuff?
So it was especially hard when it came to school. In order for me to go to school, I had to be on substance. I was really falling behind, failing all my classes. I was rarely attending. Yeah, it was just really difficult in school.
So, especially around the school situation, you saw how that was affecting you. What about with your friends and your family? How did the relationships change in your life?
Yeah, so I lost a lot of friends due to the way I was very verbally aggressive. I lost many, many friends. And when it came to family, I lost a lot of their trust. And my relationship with them just went down the drain.
So for Alicia, what was that moment? Because they say everyone has like a moment, right?
Yeah.
When they realize that this is not the way I want to live my life. What I'm doing to gain joy or to find, not be bored or whatever the experience was for you. Many people say that there's a moment.
Yeah.
So did you have that moment? And so what was that moment when you said, I can't do this anymore, I need to get help? And before that, did you try to stop? Before you actually had that moment where you realized you needed help, were there times in your life that you tried to stop? And then why didn't that work for you?
Yeah, so there were times where I did try to stop. When I was put into the mental hospital 4 times due to the things I do when I was on substances. I would just outburst, and I really did try to get sober, but I just felt like I needed it. Like, it was just so comforting. I was just so used to the everyday high, the routine. It's like I missed it. I just couldn't. But that moment where I realized that I needed help was when the first time that, so I had drank a lot and I was on many different pills. And then all I remember is the next day I just woke up in the hospital and somebody found me blacked out on the street.
And it was in that moment that Alicia said, I need to do something different.
Yes.
So how did you get to Tarzana? How did that happen?
So it was actually my mom. She supported me through so much. She really wanted me to find help. So she would look through all these programs, and she came across Tarzana. Yeah.
So when you first came there, what did you think? Was it an easy sort of entry for you, or did you struggle at first? Tell me a little bit about your beginning experience at Tarzana.
Yeah, I definitely struggled very much. I did want to get clean, but it was just super hard, super hard. Yeah.
So what started to change where it became less difficult for you and you began to say, maybe this can work?
So probably when I met my counselor, Jonathan. He really helped me. He made me realize that I did need to get better. So actually, I ended up going to rehab. Yeah,
Okay. And how long did you stay in rehab?
for a month.
For a month.
Yeah.
So you came out, and did you go back to outpatient at that point?
No.
No.
Oh,
Okay.
no, I just, after a couple months, I did go back to outpatient and
Okay.
because I went to rehab from March to April, and around September, I went back to outpatient.
Okay. And at that point, when you came back to outpatient, right, did you feel stronger? Had you distanced yourself from your usage experience? And was treatment now starting to feel a little easier for you?
Yes, but I am gonna admit, for sure, there were really hard times. But I remind myself every day that that's not the life I want. I never want to lose the people I love. I never want to hurt people like that again. So that just keeps me going.
So, what in the support services at Tarzana, that experience, tell me about how that helped you to get to that decision in your life, right? Because that's a huge decision,
Yeah.
right? Because a lot of people who are having that addictive experience, they don't think about others during that time, right? But when you have that realization that, too, you don't want to hurt yourself and you don't want to hurt others, right? That's a huge moment, right? So talk a little bit about how the support at Tarzana helped you to get to that point.
Yeah, so all of my counselors, I've had multiple counselors, and they've all helped me. And I always think about them till this day. And I'm so appreciative of all of them. They've really helped me when it comes to, because I did express my situation with my family, and they let me know that that's not a way to live. They're supporting me, and I'm still out here, going crazy. And they really helped me realize, that I need help.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
but we all do, right?
Yeah, we truly all do.
And we all feel this craziness sometimes, right?
For sure.
I think that for me to hear you say that, you have that family support, you got that support from Tarzana that brought you to the point where you can smile when you talk about these things, right? So tell me a little bit about life after Tarzana for you. What have you done, right, to bring joy in your life, right? Because one of the things that a lot of people who have the experience of treatment, right, they are sometimes afraid to re-engage in moments of things that brought them joy before, because there's people, places, and things, right?
Yeah.
And so I love this book called Destination Joy by Ernest James. And he talks about in that book that for him, that's the highest level of the recovery, is realizing that there's still joy after, right? So tell me a little bit about life after treatment for you, right? Tell me a little bit about the challenges first, right? But then tell me about what are you doing, Alicia, for your joy, right?
Yeah. So Tarzana really helped me with coping skills, and especially when it comes to boredom, that's when, your cravings can come up. So that's also how I started getting into drawing again, because I had lost interest for a bit. So I started drawing and painting again. They also taught me how to avoid, people and places that could trigger me, places that I used to get high, people I used to get high with. So, you know, I distanced myself and cut everybody off that wasn't doing any good in my life. And it was pretty hard, but I realized at the end of the day that all I needed was the people who supported me, which was Tarzana and especially my family. You know, yeah. So
that support system is so important, right?
Yes, very.
I think about people who are having this experience.
Yeah.
And I think about them trying to do this in a silo and isolation, and how difficult that is, because when they're using, they have a community, right? And then when they stop using, right, and they now have to have communication and relationships with people who don't use. Right. And so, and who don't understand the experience of the usage, right? And so I can understand that's difficult, but I'm glad, I'm really, more than glad, I'm really excited that you had the experience of going through Tarzana, so you could see, right, the moments that you're starting to think, oh, wow, I'm feeling this. And then you go to what I call, some people call them coping strategies. I call them joy strategies, right? So you go to your art, right? And for me, that's one of something I call a joy location, right? Where you go to experience the joy that's inside of you. So tell me about a few of your other joy locations where you go to experience joy and feel safe in those locations that you won't be inspired to use again, right? Tell me a few of Alicia's joy locations.
Yeah, well, especially now that I'm sober, I love talking to my family. I just love spending time with them. It made me realize, like, at the end of the day, you have your family, and our bond is just so strong. Like, for sometimes I just think, like, maybe, you know, this happened for a reason. You know, our bond is stronger than ever. I love talking to my family. I love hanging out with them. I love going out with them. Yeah, it's just so nice now. The trust is back.
Yeah.
The bond is back. It's the best.
I don't know your family. I just met you today, but I can feel the sincerity and the joy.
Yeah.
Right? Alicia, there's a lot of teens out there who they haven't got to this place yet, and they're struggling. If you can turn to the audience for a moment and just say a few words of encouragement to let them know that they're not alone, and that there's joy after the pain.
So I'd like to say that you may feel lost, you may feel hurt, but I promise you that there is a rainbow at the end of the tunnel. I promise you. Myself, I did not think I'd ever get sober. And sometimes you need to accept the fact that you do need help. It's hard. Trust me, I know it's really, really hard. But it's the best thing I could have done. You know, I'm so happy. I have these opportunities that I didn't have before. I believe in you. I believe in you. And trust me, it's the best decision I've ever made.
She's amazing, right? Let's give her a round of applause. Alicia, thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's really hard to share.
Yeah, it is.
But you did such a beautiful job doing it, and I really appreciate your openness, and I know that your words are going to inspire someone out there. I trust that it's going to inspire more than one. And so thank you so much.
Thank you.
And, you know, just continue experiencing your joy.
Thank you.
All right. So that's it, folks. We want to thank you for joining us on this very special episode. We want to thank our guests again, Kimberly and Alicia. And we hope that, as Alicia said, and Kimberly, if you're feeling that you're stuck, just know that you're not alone. And there's many people around you that love you and they want you to be better. So please reach out. My name is Mark Winkler. Thank you for joining us at Ayeneh. Be joyful.
brought to you by Tarzana Treatment Centers. You can visit our website at www.tarzanatc.org or call 1-800-996-1051.